Welcome to the Transforming Lives panel podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sharmin.
And I'm Mitzi Dudoon, your other host.
Before we continue, customarily, just take a moment to be grounded and centered together and join me in taking a few deep breaths in, holding it at the top, and exhaling through your mouth. Take another deep breath in through your nose, hold it, and let it go. Again, in through your nose, hold it, and on this exhale, just let go of everything that didn't serve you today. Just let it go on the exhale and take a breath in and feel the power of that breath as it enters your body from the crown of your head all the way to the sole of your feet. And as you exhale, just join us for the next 30 minutes as we enjoy the moment together, centered and grounded. Welcome to another episode. And today we are thrilled to welcome Michelle J. Howe to the Transforming Lives panel podcast. She is the founder and president of Empath Evolution. Michelle stands out as a distinguished educator and visionary dedicated to empowering the next generation of leaders. Her transformative work enables individuals to unlock their authentic power, forge deeper connections, and embrace empathy as a pivotal force in exceptional leadership. Michelle, welcome.
Thank you, Sharmin.
You're so welcome. Is there anything you would like to add to your bio?
You did an exceptional job. That was beautiful. Thank you. I think it's pretty complete.
Okay, well, thank you. In today's episode, I want us to dive into the theme of transformation. Michelle, I would like to explore a few things like
So
Can you give us an example of a client that you worked with and sort of, what they were stuck with or how they were and sort of, how it evolved kind of thing? Just to kind of help our listeners understand what it might feel like for somebody to go through this process with an example of somebody who's gone through the process with you.
sure. Well, I'm going to pick on George because George is one of my favorites. I mean, he's still in my orbit and quite active. George came to me because he knew he had always been intuitive and empathic to a degree, but he didn't know what that even meant, right? His wife passed away in her sleep unexpectedly. So he woke up one morning to the shock of his life. And this was the woman that the love of his life, really. So to say he was heartbroken is an understatement. He was upset. And at one point, I think I sent him an email and he goes, well, I'll get on the phone. I'll see what she has to say. And the next thing you know, he's working with me. And, you know, with George, I had to be very careful because he really was in a lot of grief. And I needed to make space for that. But the more like I'm very inquisitive, I want to know what the story is. I want to know what your story is. Tell me about you. And the more he told me and we started piecing together different elements of who he was, different situations, I'm like, wow, you have had a lot of trauma. Not only did he have childhood trauma, he had cancer, he went through a divorce, and his wife had just passed away. So he had like an enormous amount of emotional pain that he had gone through in his life. So with him, as I do with others, it's a matter of let me teach you a couple of things energetically. geez, Michelle, this is what happened after you taught me that energetically. Well, what happened? Oh, my hand started to like vibrate, and I started to feel like I was connected to something bigger than myself. I go, well, I think you're a healer, George. He goes, what? Like, this is a man's man, meaning George could intimidate. He was a protector of his family. There was 10 kids in the family, and he was one of the oldest boy, I should say, the oldest boy. And never in his wildest dreams, like he would experience emotions intensely to the point that he was a little afraid of how he would experience emotions. And that is part and parcel of being empathic, right? But people were actually, if you met him, you'd not think he was this big, huge, he's not this big guy, but he has such a presence to him that he could intimidate anybody. They back right off because he grew up in so much trauma that this person in front of him that's causing trouble he's not afraid of that person. He's not afraid of any of them other than his father. He's the only person he was afraid of, right? So moving him through the process, I simply held space and told him what I knew, what I felt. I allowed him to go deeper, to experience it, and to integrate some of the insights and the knowledge. And he just started to come alive. He's like, oh my gosh, this is actually very real for me. This is very valid. And every time and then this happened, Michelle. So he took what I taught him and he soaked it in and he started living it. It started becoming part of his experience. And he's still, truly connected in a very unique way to his family and being a healer and his past lives and how he shows up every day. So I can't say that I follow where I'm being guided when I help anybody. I don't, it needs to go this way. If there's a thread that I need to follow with him, I know there's a purpose. So it really brought him around to understand his whole life and his role in his own life. So not every client is like George. It's much milder than that, right? But it just tells you the potential that we all have. It's not cookie cutter, but he can now understand other people, not get drawn into that trauma. He can see his life as a success and himself as a success in a way he never could have ever. He goes, I'm eternally grateful to you. And I'm like, and likewise, right? For me to witness this in another person was precious. So he will impact everybody that, he's around. And that's how we impact one another. So I don't know if that's a great example, but each person that comes in has their own set of these are my these are my challenges, these are my struggles. Most of the time I'm helping people just come to terms with who they are and start to interpret the environment around them. Not I'm so different, but ooh, I am different and I do connect differently and I have a choice over how I behave or what I show the world.
Thank you for that example of George. And a question popped into my head. How do you handle clients who are stuck in complex trauma? What are some strategies that you use to help them to be unstuck?
So most of my clients it's a little challenging because if you're really, really, really stuck in your trauma, you can't hear. You just may not be able to hear anybody because you want to fight. You want to argue, right? You want to be right. You want to be out of pain. The world's a bad place, right? And in that space, it's almost like the fuse has to kind of diminish, go down a little bit. You're going to burn everybody in everyone around you is going to get burned because they're not doing anything right. So it's very hard to help somebody in that space. And what I would say, if you're in that space, is definitely it's okay. You be mad. You be mad. You have a right to be mad. But that mad doesn't need to get thrown on everybody that you see. You don't have to, you have a choice. You want to be mad? You want to be right? What do you want to be? Or you want to be happy? And in that choice, they make a decision. They have to make a decision. You're either going to calm down enough to ground into who you are, or you can be mad. You can be mad 5 more years, right? You can numb yourself if you want, but reaching that person is very, very, very difficult. It's very difficult to almost impossible. So I don't know that I have a good answer for you. Usually they come and they are wanting help. People that come to me want help. I don't want to feel this way. I don't love being in pain. I feel weighted down. I feel different. I feel, insecure. I feel like the world's against me. And when they come in a place and they're humble about what they want, what they're saying what they want something different, then it's possible for that to happen. But when they come and they're self-righteous and they're indignant and they're angry, they're just throwing everything around. And certainly, there's plenty of psychologists that will listen, psychiatrists that will listen to that, and people can stay in that their whole life, which isn't going to help anybody in their family, not going to help them, but they're what they're doing is they're looking out at the world, and they're really, really heavy. So how do you, if I had somebody in front of me, you have a choice. What do you want to do? What do you want? Tell me what you want. You want to burn the house down? What else do you want? Let's see if there's something else. So it's activating, it's firing them up for the right things. That use that anger. Use that as energy for the next thing that you're going to do. But, it's not I don't have a formula to change someone's mind if they don't want on some level. Like I could probably have someone who's extremely upset and I could calm them down. But then the next day, unless they are interested in something different, they'll be looking for somebody else to calm them down, right? And they'll keep on knocking on different doors. They have to develop the skill themselves to calm down.
Are there some tools or techniques or things that you have your clients do to help them calm down? So like we've had people on that, do tapping or meditation or, other things. What are your tools that you kind of
My go-to is it's always about expression. Speak, 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 let it out, right? Write if you want to write, but speaking is more important than that. It's about quieting your mind. You have to find a way. There's many different ways of doing it, right? But you have to find a way to quiet your mind and to slow down the pace of how it's the energetics of what you're doing and how you're doing it and how you're thinking and where you're thinking. There isn't one thing, it's a series of things that can change how you engage in a space. What I would say to them, if you surround yourself with a bunch of people, right? If those people are not uplifting, if they're making you more angry, stay away from those people, right? You need to be around a group of people that can hold space for you, listen to you, validate, and then move forward. And yeah, we're not going to just out of the blue find this group of people, but at least one person, and spend time by yourself. So much is discovered when you're by yourself. period.
I think you used the word energetics 3 times. And what if one of our listeners don't know the definition? Could you provide one for us?
Yeah, I can. Energetics is it's a catch-all word, but it means that I am not simply my physical body. I extend out beyond my physical body, the space around me. What I say, what I speak, what's around me, all is holding an energy. It's all, there's a feeling. You walk into this space, it feels this way. You walk into this space, it feels this way. My role is to help people understand what the energetics, how you're engaging with them. When something is upsetting you, ooh, there's something in here that it touched on a wound that I have, right? Touched on something. So the energetics is either things are getting magnified, the good, you want the good to be magnified, the great, like I meet someone, I want to showcase all the amazing things that they are. But if I come and I meet someone and I see all the nasty things that they are, right? Now there's a different exchange between us. It's not said, but there is an exchange that's always happening with a group, with another person. Like they don't have to say a word. And some people, so energetics, some people walk into a room and they take the air out of the room. There's none left after they walk in. They take it. Other people bring with them so much positivity, the room shifts the moment they walk into it. So those energetics is what we're working with, subtle energy and really mental, emotional, subtle. It's all subtle. And it's all like, it's colors, right? Energetics can be in color. Certain things convey certain feelings, right? But it's what are you doing with those feelings? What are you doing with, what are you doing with the space in front of you, the time, the relationships? What are you focused on? I'm making you more mindful, more discernment about what's presenting itself to you. How is it impacting your body?
Is everyone aware of their personal energetic? Is it common for us to be aware of that and tap into it? Is it something that cultivate over time? Or is it something we have to be trained to tap into? How do we access energetics?
So you access the energetics by feeling, by actually pausing to feel what your body feels like, what your brain feels like, what your heart feels like. Like you're paused. Now I meet this person in front of me. Yes, I hear what they're saying, but what am I feeling? Like I'm not so caught up in what they're saying. I'm looking at them differently. So you can cultivate it. You will cultivate it. Most people are not aware of it. They bring themselves, they bring the way they think into every situation. It overpowers everything. Instead of becoming a little bit more of an what we need to do is become more observing of what's around us and who people are and who we are, right? So it's a quality of it's a quality of life. It's how we engage. If we're ready to like make a statement, state our cause, like we're not actually listening to what's actually present here. Like there's been many situations I see online, many situations that are not provocative, emotional, things are in a riot or in a bad state of being. And then I look at the players and the people and I'm like, well, there's emotional undercurrent here. There's a wound beneath all of this. Their words say this, but it's because of this. Like you're looking at what's behind people's actions, not just their actions, not just their words. Why are they behaving that way?
That's really hard work.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting work, Charmaine. It's interesting because you can see, and if you understand human nature and the fact that some of the teachings that come with this is that people are all here learning. There's not a single one of us that has it figured out, right? So some of us have blind spots on. We don't see certain things, and other ones, maybe they do. They see certain things and not other things. So we're always teacher and student to one another. So I love your questions because how do we access that? How do we know that? It's as we dance with it, as we play with it, as we explore with it, it becomes more real to us. And then what we see changes, how we respond changes because, you know, it's almost like you have a young child, right? And, you know, as a young parent, you don't really know how to take care of this child. You're supposed to be parenting them, but they're getting the best of you. And then you learn, oh, they're doing things to get attention. Oh, how am I going to manage that? I'm not going to reward them for doing something bad to get attention. I'm going to let them know that I'm going to give them attention even if they're bad or good. Like I'm going to try to like, I did this with my children. I completely like shifted, like, Mom, what are you doing? Why are you acting this way? I'm like, I'm not going to give you what you want. I'm going to give you, I know what you want, and I'm going to let you know this bad behavior or this poor behavior is because you really want me to give you some attention. All right, I'll give you some, but I'm going to give your brother more because he just acted really good. And look at what you're doing. And I think my kids were confused at different points, but I'm like, I am not, I'm not going to label you as good or bad, but I'm not going to play this game with you. You want some attention? You want to be bad? Okay, I'll give you some love when you're bad. Like I just completely shifted the language around what they were doing so that they were like, I can't get the best of my mother. Because why? Because the moment that I lost my cool, the whole energy in the whole house would change. And they might be smirking in the background. They just got their mother to lose it, completely lose it, right? So it's those are the energetics. You're dancing with what's around you, and you really want to be in a state of balance. And yet sometimes you need to, this is, you're parenting, not right, right. This is a fine line here. Which way are you going to choose, honey? Which way? Show me. Like I'm your parent. I'm guiding you. But it's just fun. It's just fun when you start seeing how we're all growing and we're all connected and we all impact one another. So, if we can eliminate the labels that we put on people and just look at them as people, with strengths, with struggles, with all of that, but they're very strong. They're not victims. Some of the strongest people came into this lifetime with the biggest hurdles, but they're big, big, powerful beings. And they came in to experience that to then change it, transmute it, shift it.
Thank you.
One of the things you mentioned a little bit earlier was the whole thing of, taking some time and feeling and thinking and sort of, what are the emotions and the things you're feeling. And when I sort of think about the way society is right now, I think part of the challenge for a lot of people is there's always noise being in, doesn't matter what you look at. There's commercials, there's, Facebook, it's serving you, and people are out and they're listening to music or whatever, but they don't take time to sit quietly and think and feel.
Yeah.
Is there a way that you kind of help
them?
educate them on how to do that or get doing that for themselves?
Well, I will say this. once you get a taste of what that feels like and how you feel afterwards, and you give yourself permission, so many of my clients, somehow, somewhere along the way, we have to give ourselves permission to self-soothe, to self-prioritize, to self-care, to just really be in a beautiful life that's not run by the electronics around us, that's not run by the latest and the greatest drama that's presented. And I think that being human, I am human, I understand it. It is insane sometimes the amount of things that we have going on. And like, I think all the outside stuff is meant to numb us. Like, we actually feed ourselves that because we need a break from the stressors. So we think that distracting ourselves, but there comes a point where it becomes nonsensical. It's too much. So we need to like take a nature bath, take the time to go do something that is just for us and for nobody else. I mean, that is self-love, period. And it makes you a different person because now there's a different quality to how you show up for another person. So not everyone will hear this message because they're not ready to hear it, but there's going to come a point in time when you're going to need quiet. You just need things to calm down. Less is more. So how do when when you're around people who prioritize that, wear that, hold that, live that, you become more like that yourself. It's contagious. And then I'm asking people, now you go do this for other people. Go. So the same way we can be contagious in a crazy, hectic, helter-skelter way, we can be contagious in a more present, loving way. And really, did you hear what I slow down the pace of which life is presenting itself? Period. And you can do that. It's like taking the music, taking any kind of recording on YouTube and you're putting it on fast forward, right? 1.5. No, put it to 0.75, 0.5, like, and modulating what that might be based on how you're doing and how you're feeling. So you're not helter-skelter all day long. We can't do this anymore. We can't. Our bodies, it's too much. I mean, it's the ebbs and the flows of our days. We can't be crazed and then drop, right? Oh, we can, right? But how healthy is that? Last week, it's very draining, as a matter of fact, to me. I had a situation present itself and I had to, I have a very nice self. I very much cooperate. I very much move along with things. But if you touch my child, and this goes on for a little while, and and then I watch my child kind of be defeated, well, Mama Bear woke up. And, and I and I told my daughter, I said, do not be upset with me because I am your mother. I will behave the way I need to behave. When you have a child, you decide how you're going to behave. But I needed to stand up, sometimes, and just doing that because it's not my norm to do that. I don't like I don't like being more aggressive, but I'm like, these people are not going to hear anything. My child needs help. And that's it. So I will look bad. I will look like I'm an out of control parent. And guess what? Something shifted, something moved because I had to do that. But then later I'm like, oh my God, what a crazy week. Why? Because I I had some stumbling blocks along the way and I didn't have another tool to help fix this situation or help support her. So I did what I know how to do, which was I let them hear me, and they did. And so sometimes, right, is it my ideal to be that way? No, but something needed to give. And it comes back to we we have different ways that we show up It's not my ideal, but I will, if pushed too far, do exactly what is required to get something done. So, yeah, you're smiling, Charmaine.
Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that with us, because I think that's important. Oftentimes, when we present, and you mentioned that in the beginning, we show up in authenticity. However, there are times when we need to show up whatever the situation warranted, and that's what you did. And I'm so proud that you shared that, because I know that's a vulnerable moment. And we'll have to invite you back just for us to talk about being an empath, the future of empathy, and how do we revolutionize that empathic being we all are.
Absolutely. I would love to come back. Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Michelle. It really was a great insight into some great tools to help our listeners make an internal and an external transformation.
I'm glad to be here.
Leave a closing message with our listeners.
Well, if you're listening to this podcast, you definitely believe in transformation. So I applaud you, and I have all the respect in the world, because when we shift on the inside, everything shifts, everything. And we live, inside. If our insides are, if we're happy and we feel fulfilled, it doesn't, the outside can be having a storm, right? But we're holding our own, right? We're not part of that storm. We're able to be a support and a light for other people when we are not getting pulled in all these different directions into those storms. So that wherewithal, that awareness is huge in today's world. And definitely look me up at empathevolution.com. I'm here.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and we'll see you next time.